Hello, everybody. Welcome to Bird Notice. Billy here. Leading off, the Orioles signed pitcher Matt Bowman to a minor league contract. Coby Mayo gets demoted, and James McCann reaches 10 years of service time. But Ryan, what episode number is this?
This is our 56th episode, and number 56 was worn by Darren O'Day in his 7 years as an Oriole. The right-handed sidearm reliever attended the University of Florida in his home state and signed as a free agent with the Angels in 2006. O'Day was a Rule 5 draft pick of the New York Mets after one season with the Angels, but was waived soon thereafter and claimed by the Rangers. He pitched well in 2009 and 2010 for Texas, but struggled in 2011 and was claimed off waivers by the Orioles that offseason. O'Day thrived in Baltimore, pitching to a 2.40 ERA with 424 strikeouts in 374 and one-third innings, and was selected to the All-Star game in 2015. Injuries started to affect him in 2016, and he would exceed 31 innings just once in his final 7 seasons. A critical bullpen piece of 3 Orioles playoff teams, O'Day suffered a season-ending hamstring injury in 2018 and was traded to Atlanta at the deadline along with Kevin Gossman for 2 guys who never made the majors, plus a bad starter in Bruce Zimmerman and Evan Phillips, who became a solid reliever for the Dodgers. O'Day injured his forearm the following spring training and made just 8 appearances for the Braves in 2019 and 19 more in the shortened 2020 season. He signed with the Yankees for 2021, then returned to Atlanta in 2022, his final season in the majors. O'Day spent 15 total seasons in the major leagues, throwing 609 innings with 637 strikeouts, a 2.59 ERA, and a 1.03 whip, and now does some work as an analyst on Braves radio broadcasts.
Yeah, I just Googled him, and I was reminded that his wife is a TV reporter of some sort, too. I think she worked in Baltimore at the time he pitched for them.
I didn't know that. I learned that when I was researching.
Yeah, it's funny they both work in media now. Yeah, it's hard to make the kind of impact that he made as a relief pitcher.
Especially not as the closer.
Right, yeah. Yeah, he has a case for the Orioles Hall of Fame, I think.
It's possible.
Yep. Oh, I have a relief pitcher too for number 56.
Let's hear it.
New closer Seranthony Dominguez. Acquired from the Phillies at this year's trade deadline for the carcass of a disgruntled, often injured, light-hitting fourth outfielder. Before being traded, he was the second longest tenured Philly behind Aaron Nola. Seranthony helped shore up the closer's role on a contending team in the light of Felix Bautista's injury and Craig Kimbrel's battle with Father Time. The Orioles have a 2025 team option on the 29-year-old. Dominguez signed as an international free agent in 2011 and made his major league debut for Philadelphia in 2018. As a rookie, he racked up 16 saves with a 2.95 ERA, with 74 strikeouts in 58 innings. His 16 saves were the most by a rookie pitcher for the Phillies since Jack Mayer in 1955, earning him a spot on Baseball America's 2018 All-Rookie team. He had Tommy John surgery on July 30th, 2020, pitched one major league inning in 2021, and returned to full-time duty in the 2022 season. In his short time with the Orioles, in just 10 1/3 innings, he's become one of their most trusted relief pitchers, allowing 2 runs on 5 hits and a 4-3 strikeout to walk ratio, with a 1.74 ERA and a .774 whip. And we're going to ignore tonight's games that just ended.
Everyone has their duds once in a while.
Yeah, I'd rather watch Dominguez serve up that home run than Kimbrel at this point. We'll get to Kimbrel throughout the episode. Spoiler alert, I'm done with him.
I would imagine most O's fans agree.
Which sucks to say. Like, I was very excited about him signing. I think the signing still made sense. I think it still makes sense today. But at this point, I don't know what you're hanging on to. He's covered most of the contract, so, at least they're not eating the entire salary had they given up on him in like May or whatever. But yeah, we'll get to Kimbrel later. Coby Mayo was demoted. Did that surprise you at all?
Not based on performance, but it was interesting that I want to say it was Elias or Hyde. One of them, like a day before it happened, was saying that he'll get chances to prove himself. And then they had Cal mic'd up in that game on maybe Tuesday night. And he had a story about how Earl Weaver, took him aside and said, even though you're struggling, you're staying here. And Cal was saying that made him a lot more confident, and he think it helped a lot. And then the next day, the O's sent Mayo back down.
Yeah, once the Orioles signed J.D. Davis to a minor league contract, I felt like the writing was on the wall. So it surprised me that they called up Levon Soto. I still think they'll add Davis, though, at some point, because Soto hasn't even gotten in a game. He's been there for close to a week now.
Right.
But, yeah, I think Mayo is a victim of timing in the situation. He didn't get, like, May or June to work through some struggles. They need somebody to perform now, and they clearly don't trust his defense, or I think he would be playing. And you can't go 0 for 15 with 9 strikeouts and not be trusted on defense in a pennant race at a core position like third base and expect not to be sent down. So, yeah. It's just tough. He'll be back next year, and I think he'll kill it. He might even be back in September when the rosters expand.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about the defense too, because you can put up with some bad hitting if he's great with a glove, but yeah, when neither of those things is going well, there's no reason for you to play on a contender in August.
Right. Yeah, that's the Chance Cisco rule, I think. So he'll be back. I don't know if Kjerstad will be back this season. So
is he playing at all, like in Norfolk, or is he still hurt?
No, technically he's still on the Orioles roster because they sent him to Norfolk and then he was retroactively placed on the injured list. So that saved them an option also. But I have a hard time believing when he's activated that they would put him back on the major league roster. I don't think there's a spot for him currently.
They do make a lot of moves. So whenever you ask, like, do I think something's going to happen or am I surprised? Like, usually I expect something. And I often don't know what it'll be until it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer for Mayo. Like I said, I just think it's bad timing. I think he got screwed with the timing of Westberg's injury.
Yeah.
Matt Bowman, he's a relief pitcher with ties to Maryland. He agreed to a minor league deal that has an opt-out that can be exercised on August 28th for a prorated $1 million, which sounds like a lot. I wonder who they were negotiating against.
I don't know. It did seem like an interesting structure for that deal. You don't hear about those often.
He can't be worse than Kimbrel at this point. And I'm going to be shitting on Kimbrel a lot, but that's just because it's easy to. I think there's literally any option better than Kimbrel. If you throw harder than 93, you're better than Kimbrel at this point.
And also, he's throwing 93 not often in the strike zone either.
Right.
It's a bad, like Mayo not hitting or playing defense. He's not throwing hard or throwing strikes. It's a bad combination.
Selby got called up. He looked great tonight against the Mets. I posted a tweet where I took a victory lap of me telling someone I thought he looked good in Norfolk the couple times I saw him. He's a better option than Kimbrel at this point. Matt Bowman, he has that opt-out on August 28th. I wonder if, that's like 9 days from now? That could be like the drop-dead date for a decision on Kimbrel.
It's an interesting way to look at it. Could be right, though.
Yeah. Another thing to Kimbrel is, so he's earned the right to work through these struggles just with his resume and obviously by the salary they're paying him. So even if they do cut ties with him, it won't be for a lack of trying. He's gotten a longer leash than most relief pitchers would have gotten without, his name recognition.
Yeah, I mean, he's a veteran. I'm sure he's not happy with the way his season has gone overall, and I mean, he would probably understand that. He seems like the type of guy who'd be the first one to be like, yeah, I've been shitty.
Yeah, he was great on that Adam Jones interview he did. And I love watching Hall of Famers play for the Orioles. I don't think it's going to work at this point. Do you?
Unless something crazy happens and he snaps out of it. And at his age and at this point in the season, I am not super confident in that, then no, I don't know that he's going to be any better the rest of the year.
I fear the same thing. Like, even if he does snap out of it like he did earlier in the season, it just feels like at this point, everything is going to be high leverage, and one walk will just knock down all the dominoes.
Right.
So this Matt Bowman signing makes me think Vinny Natoli messed up by rejecting his assignment to Norfolk, because he could have been back on the roster already. I think he's in Syracuse.
Where did he end up?
With the Mets, actually.
Oh, okay.
But Bowman is 33 years old. He was originally drafted by the Mets in the 13th round in 2012. He has 196 career relief appearances. 75 of those came in his rookie season in 2016 with the Cardinals after they selected him in the 2015 Rule 5 draft.
I don't think I've ever heard of this guy until the O's signed him.
Me either. I thought that was interesting, though, getting 75 relief appearances as a Rule 5 rookie, because usually they try and hide those guys.
He must have been good.
On the Cardinals, too. I don't remember their 2016, but I wouldn't doubt if they had a decent season that year.
Let's look it up.
While you do that, he's also pitched for the Diamondbacks, Twins, Reds, Yankees, and Mariners.
The 2016 Cardinals, 86 and 76, finished second in the NL Central, so they weren't a bad team at all.
Yeah, it's not like the Marlins trying to sneak a Rule 5 guy through.
And Matt Bowman that year for the Cardinals had a 3.46 ERA, 52 Ks and 20 walks in 67 and 2/3. So yeah, it's like a decent kind of not back of the bullpen, like end of the game, but like toward the end of your bench, so to speak.
Yeah, the depth chart.
Right.
And we got our first extension of the Rubenstein era. You ready for this?
Yes.
Kevin Brown. Jim Palmer let it slip. It was for 4 years. My guess, it was 5 when it was announced.
Say that again? I know Palmer said it was 4. What do you mean by 5?
Oh, 5 was my guess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because you figure if he signed a 5-year deal now, or when he started, this would have been the 5th year. So I just figured they gave him the same thing.
I see. Man, what a change of events in the past year, where Brown went from being suspended by John Angelos for nothing to getting a 4-year extension.
Yeah, he has a real chance to be the voice of multiple generations of Orioles baseball if the cable cabal doesn't collapse and baseball continues with localized broadcasts. But yeah, he's still young. It seems like he likes working for the Orioles, and John Angelos isn't around anymore.
Yeah. I met a guy a few months ago at a networking thing who works down here for Bally Sports. He's a producer, and I mentioned that I'm an Orioles fan, and he knew Kevin Brown, and he said he's just like a really good guy. So it's nice to hear that about people that you enjoy watching and listening to as well.
Yeah, the broadcasters are important. Yeah, he's extremely likable. I don't think there's really a ceiling on his career. Like, if anything, he might outgrow the Orioles at some point.
That's kind of what I would expect.
And I wonder if, working with Palmer, who's a broadcasting legend, helped him grow at the rapid rate. He had big shoes to fill in Gary Thorne.
Right. Yeah, Gary Thorne was very good. Everybody loved him.
Yeah. I was surprised he never got another job.
I read an article about him, I want to say a year or two ago, and I don't recall if it even said that he was trying to work anymore or not. It was like he's spending time with his grandkids and stuff.
He seems a little prickly. Obviously, I don't know him and never dealt with him or anything, but I don't care about that. I'm just watching him on TV. I don't have to work with him. But when ESPN got the hockey rights to broadcast hockey games a couple years ago, a lot of people wanted to see him go back to ESPN and call hockey, but that didn't happen either.
He was great in the hockey broadcast in like late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I knew him as a hockey guy before I knew him as an Orioles guy.
Same.
And then I, moved here and I was like, holy shit, Gary Thorne does Orioles games?
Yeah, that's a bonus.
Yeah, that was a bonus. Absolutely. So, congratulations, Kevin Brown. That's all I got as far as like notes go. Should we just get into these game recaps? You got a Nats preview?
I do. The Nationals were 54-65 before this series, which aligns with their offensive output and run prevention numbers. The two teams split a 2-game series in DC in early May, and the O's lead the all-time series 56-40. Nats have some fun young position players like Luis Garcia and CJ Abrams and James Wood, who were both acquired from San Diego in the Juan Soto trade. A bright spot for the O's was that they didn't have to get dominated by Trevor Williams, who pitched 5 innings, allowing 2 hits and no walks with 8 strikeouts in his previous start against them, because he is on the IL.
I guess that's why they didn't trade him at the deadline.
Yeah.
Well, we had our own Trevor to watch in this game. This was Jake Irvin versus Trevor Rogers. This was Rogers' Orioles debut at Camden Yards, so we got to watch him suck in Baltimore.
Rogers didn't get a good start in his third start as an Oriole, allowing a double that could have been caught by Santander, and then a walk to the second and third batters of the game. With 2 outs, Maryland native James Wood singled to score CJ Abrams, and it was 1-0.
Yeah, and then Yepes, is that how you say his name? I have him on my fantasy team.
Sounds right.
He scored when James Wood was picked off first, but he was able to linger in the baseline, in the base path long enough for the run to score, and then it's 2-0.
I never saw a replay of an angle that showed the entire field on that play. Like, I still don't know if the guy on third took off right when Rogers threw it over, or if, he could have gotten thrown out by, I think, Mountcastle, and then he threw it to Gunner, who tagged out Wood, but I have no idea what kind of sequence that play happened in. But either way, it's not a good look for the O's.
I didn't watch this game in real time. I went and watched the Riff Tracks presents Point Break at the local AMC. That was fun.
Nice.
The original Point Break with Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So bottom second, there's 3 consecutive leadoff singles from O'Hearn, Adley, and Mountcastle. That got the O's on the board. They'd strand 2, though, and they are down 2-1.
Santander tied the game in the third on an opposite field home run into the bullpen, which Cionel Perez once again caught in his hat, and the game was tied at 2.
Yeah, he's good at that. That's impressive.
Yeah, he's better at that than pitching, I think.
Yeah, that's his most redeeming quality as a player, is that he can catch a ball in his hat.
Right.
James Wood starts the fourth with another base hit. Chaparro hits a double. There's runners on second and third with no outs. The good news is Rogers gets the next 2 guys out, but the bad news is they were both sacrifice flies, and the Nats are back up 4-2.
The next runs were also scored by the Nats, with Wood once again singling to start the inning, leading to Brian Baker replacing Rogers. The first pitch by Baker was hit by Chaparro for a ground rule double. Then 2 pitches later was a single by Vargas that scored 2 runs and made it 6-2.
I have Brian Baker entering this game here, and I took a bunch of unnecessary shots at him, but I'm not going to say what they are because I got a newfound respect this week after watching Kimbrel shit himself for like the 10th time in his last 10 appearances. So I'm in on Brian Baker now. That's how bad Kimbrel's been.
That's impressive.
But Baker would allow 3 runs on 9 pitches. The game was over. It's 7-2 Nats. I didn't think Trevor Rogers was as bad as he was at the beginning of the game. And then obviously Hyde didn't trust him, so he was only pulled after 78 pitches. So, I don't know. Rogers has set the bar so low. Like, just by his name value when he was announced as coming over in the trade. He had the bar set so low for him, and he's still shitting himself in these games early, and it just gets a bad taste in everyone's mouth. Same thing happened tonight. He gave up, 2 runs early and would settle down a little bit, but because Hyde doesn't trust him, he gets yanked right away, and he ends up with a 4 1/3 line with 3 runs allowed.
Yeah, after this start, his ERA was 4.78 with a 1.88 whip with the Orioles, with 7 walks and 7 strikeouts over 14 1/3. And I don't know, he just seems so hittable to me. Every pitch he throws that's actually in the strike zone, I kind of assume somebody's going to kill it.
I noticed tonight, too, he was making some facial expressions after every pitch where he was clearly frustrated, where my guess is he didn't get the location he was looking for, which does not instill confidence as a viewer when you watch him just basically sigh after every pitch that is not hit.
Right.
Yeah. And he's not fun to watch. There's some bad pitchers who are fun to watch just because they're entertaining or
like
they throw
Fujinami,
hard.
he was a blast to watch.
Perfect example. But Rogers, it's just like it's like eating mayonnaise out of a jar with a spoon. That's what watching Trevor Rogers is like.
Yeah, I don't. If you said the Orioles will start Trevor Rogers tonight, unless you can eat a whole jar of mayonnaise, I'd have to think about it.
Would you get to pick the replacement then?
Yeah, I don't know. If it's somebody worse, then of course not. But
right.
In this scenario, yes.
Yeah, both teams would exchange meaningless runs in the ninth. That would give us our 9-3 final. This was Andreas Chaparro's Major League debut. 3 doubles in his Major League debut. That's pretty. I immediately added him to my fantasy team after this.
There you go.
Chaparro was acquired from the Diamondbacks for relief pitcher Dylan Floro. Chaparro was killing it with AAA Reno, batting .332 with 19 home runs, 75 RBI, and 95 games before the trade. But he's not really like a prospect with those numbers, which is crazy because I think he's 26 already.
Yeah, he's old, and I think the PCL numbers are all inflated too.
Yeah. Chaparro and Wood went 7 for 9, scored 5 runs while driving in 2. Chaparro became the third player since 1901 to hit at least 3 doubles in his debut. The first since Nick Evans of the Mets did it in 2008. And someone did it with the 97 Oakland A's. Do you have a guess?
Hopefully he's more well-known than Nick Evans, because I don't know who that is. 97 A's, I'm going to guess Eric Chavez.
Ben Grieve.
Oh, all right. We've talked about him before.
Yeah, that's why I asked. So this brought us to game 121, Wednesday, August 14th. DJ Hers versus Dean Kramer. So at this point, the 2 starters that the Orioles would trot out to face Washington in this 2-game series, Rogers and Kramer, they're combined 6-20 on the season.
Ugh. I know pitchers' win-loss records don't matter that much, but that's really bad.
Right. Yeah, they're not bad until they tell you something.
Right.
Or they don't matter until they tell you something.
Yeah.
But Austin Slater was batting leadoff in this game. He'd get things started with a bunt. Gunnar then hits a 413 mile-per-hour bomb for his first home run since July 14th, the day before the home run derby. And this would net Sandra Pilgrim an additional $500 to spend at birdlandsports.com as the Orioles go up 2-0.
The Nats cut the lead to 1 in the top of the second when Alex Call hit a 2-out double off Santander's glove that scored Luis Garcia, who had singled. This is the second game in a row where there was a ball out in right that Santander probably should have caught that went for a double.
This one was
After
really
we were
odd.
praising him so much for his defense.
Yeah, he biffed one tonight against the Mets too. But this one was really odd because it was literally in the webbing of his glove and it just rolled out before he could snatch the glove shut.
Right.
But yeah, we got an ump show in the 5th. Coby Mayo reached base with his first career single. Then Holiday struck out. Austin Slater is up. He hits a ball that goes behind the catcher. It's ruled fair. Ruiz fired it to second base to nail Mayo for the second out of what is ruled a double play. Hyde comes out to argue. They can't challenge because it's an unchallengeable play. And, the game goes on with the Orioles clinging to a 1-run lead.
Yeah, that was weird. So the teams combined for 5 hits and 3 walks over the next 5 innings, including Coby Mayo's first major league hit, but nobody would score until the bottom of the 7th. With 1 out, Cowser and Mayo walked. Holiday singled to score Cowser. O'Hearn singled to load the bases, and Agley hit a sac fly to score Mayo, and it was 4-1.
The Nats make a pitching change, bringing in Jacob Barnes. They face the pinch-hitting Ryan O'Hearn. O'Hearn lines one off of the heel of the pitcher's glove. It ricochets into foul territory. This would load the bases for Adley Rutschman. Adley has very good numbers this season and for his career with the bases loaded. His career with the bases loaded, he's 348, which is 8 for 23, 2 grand slams, 27 RBI. And for this season, 2024, he's 4 for 8 with 2 home runs and 13 RBI. But yeah, he'd plate Mayo with a sac fly to give the Orioles some much-needed breathing room with Cionel Perez coming in the 8th. And they're up 4-1. That's our final score.
Yeah, and Dominguez got his second save in 5 days. This game also had interviews with Cal Ripken, who I mentioned earlier, and Travis Pastrana, who is a guy I don't think I've thought of since like the 90s when BMX biking was cool.
Can you see this right here?
Uh-huh.
It's the Next Level Tour Nitro Circus
Right.
poster. I went to a Nitro Circus event at the Virginia Beach Sportsplex on Saturday, June 16th. I don't remember what year, but yeah, Pastrana. I gave him my 3rd star of the game.
And he later went down and sat next to Cal and his wife in the front row. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah, he grew up down the street from Prince George's Stadium in Bowie, he said during his interview. And yeah, it seems like he's having fun in life.
Yeah, he had a cool, like, Hawaiian-looking O's hat that matched his shirt.
The number 2 star I gave to Earl Weaver. This was his birthday in 1930. He would have been 94 this year. I'm not sure I want to live that long, but, then again, my life was never as cool as Earl Weaver's.
Right.
Who guided Team Billy to the Any Orioles Ever championship earlier this year.
Oh, that is true.
And the number 1 star was Dean Kramer. He needed a start like this. We were begging for a start like this. Quality start, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He was in command. He was efficient. Yeah, they need this from him for the next 6 weeks, especially with Grayson out.
Yeah, he was much better after we were speculating that he might be hurt because he was so bad in the last start. So it was nice to see him turn things around.
Yeah, then this brought us to... Oh, we talked about Austin Slater a couple of times in this game. I'm not sure if we'll get to him again the rest of the episode because he doesn't really do anything.
That bunt was interesting. I liked that.
Yeah, that was a good bunt. But this isn't a slight on Austin Slater. This is more a dig at Austin Hayes. I think for the Orioles to identify Austin Slater as like a guy who was a viable replacement for Austin Hayes shows how much like faith the organization had lost in Austin Hayes or the production they were getting out of him. Because Austin Slater, if you look at his career, is basically a 4A player, and they were just like, yeah, he can do what Austin Hayes does, and he largely has.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Another guy named Austin who's like pretty average this year at least.
Yeah, it's like you can hang out. You don't look like you'll kill anybody. Yeah, you got a Red Sox preview though, big 4-game series.
Yes, the Red Sox arrived in Baltimore with a 63-56 record, 7 games behind the O's for second place in the AL East. Boston was 5-5 in their previous 10 games, 10-10 in their previous 20, and 14-16 in their previous 30, while the O's hadn't been much better, so you might think that they would split these 4 games based on that. The O's were up 5-1 in the season series at this point, having taken 2 of 3 the last time the Sox came to Baltimore. And the Red Sox scored the 4th most runs per game this season, just behind the O's, but their run prevention was almost the opposite, at 25th in the league.
Yeah, game 122, Thursday, August 15th. This saw Nick Pivetta, who's 8-2 in his career versus the Orioles, versus, dare we call him new ace, Zach Eflin?
Maybe. The first 3 innings were uneventful, with just one single from each team and a Mullins hit by pitch. But Wilyer Abreu led off the top of the 4th with a solo home run to make it 1-0 Red Sox.
Gunnar Henderson would then capitalize with a home run after a leadoff Santander walk, and the Orioles are up 2-1.
Yeah, Henderson's home run was kind of a line drive over the scoreboard and right, and then Cedric Mullins did his version in the 5th with one that just cleared the wall, and that made it 3-1.
Yeah, Mullins was on a full count off of Pavetta. Lefty reliever Bailey Horn is making his 12th appearance of the season in the 6th. Santander gets to do the sprinkler after leading off with a double. He goes to third on a Gunnar Henderson ground out to first, and he'd come in to score on an RBI pinch hit single from Ryan Mountcastle, 4-1 Orioles.
Gregory Soto replaced Eflin in the 7th and was very shaky, hitting Yoshida with his first pitch, then balking him to second before striking out Danny Jansen. Ceddanne Rafaela singled, and Birch Smith replaced Soto, inducing an inning-ending double play to keep the Sox off the board.
McCann would hit a 2-out, 2-strike single to bring up Colton Cowser. Cowser hits a deep fly ball over Jarren Duran's head in center field. McCann would score from first base. It's 5-1 Orioles. And this would improve the Orioles to 6-1 on the season versus the Red Sox.
Yeah, very solid game. Great job by Eflin. I'd imagine he'll be one of your 3 stars. Don't know which one.
Oh, I did give out 3 stars in this game. I'll start at the bottom. Cedric, 3rd star, 1 for 2. He hit his 14th homer of the season. I've said it a million times. It's a different team when he's doing Cedric-like things. Gunnar Henderson, 2 home runs in 2 games. Good to see him get some power back after an outage. And the number 1 star is Zach Eflin. This guy's the man. I gave the trade an A+ when we did trade grades. I think I got that wrong. He's been better than an A+.
It hasn't been long, but the small sample size has been excellent, so let's hope he keeps it up.
Quality starts, no walks, season high 8 strikeouts, 87 pitches, 59 strikes. I think the only reason why they didn't push him here, an extra inning with only 87 pitches, is I think they're hyper aware that if another starter goes down, that they're absolutely fucked.
They kind of already are in a way.
Right, yeah.
So I agree.
Soto tried to blow this game, but Birch came in and got a double play to end the threat. So, no reason to even question why they took him out. And then I had some notes. Oh, on this day in 1975, Earl Weaver was ejected from both games of a doubleheader against the Rangers.
I like that.
How cool is that? Yeah. He was ejected during the lineup exchange before game 2. And then we had a major league debut in this game. Chase Shugart entered the game for Boston. He's a 27-year-old right-handed relief pitcher drafted in the 12th round out of the University of Texas at Austin.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, his numbers at Worcester didn't scream for a promotion. The Red Sox kind of used him as like a human shield in the game. He went 2 2/3, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 34 strikes on 44 pitches. And he was promptly demoted the next day.
I'm sure he was happy to be there.
Get a day of service time.
Yeah.
How many days behind James McCann is that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, not quite McCann's 10 years, but...
So that brought us to Friday. Brennan Bernardino versus Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns bobblehead night. What could go wrong?
Yeah, and especially against an opener. The Red Sox doing a bullpen game, too.
Yeah, they used every pitcher in their bullpen in this game.
Man.
Top 1, Corbin Burns would give up 2 separate RBI doubles. The first one to Abreu. That would score Hart and Hustle Award winner Jarren Duran. The second was a 64-mile-per-hour bloop in shallow right field by the foul line that would score Abreu, and the Red Sox are up 2-0. In 14 innings against Boston coming into this game, Burns had held them to 1 run, and he gave up 2 in this first inning.
Yeah, that wasn't a good sign to get things started. The O's chased the opener, Brennan Bernardino, after just 3 batters, but 2 of those were strikeouts and the other was a walk, so he kind of did his job. They could not score despite Ryan Mountcastle's double off Zach Kelly, who replaced him as Eloy popped out to end the inning.
Yeah, the Red Sox were on their third pitcher by the bottom of the second, so maybe Manfred is correct to explore this 6-inning minimum thing for starting pitchers. I don't think it'll work like just pitched like that, but I do think there's ideas to be talked about.
They'd have to put a pitch limit on there. Like if you're at 150 pitches, you can't say like, "Yeah, you got to stay in."
Yeah, the thing I saw was there would be 100 pitch limit. Obviously an injury. I think 4 earned runs can get you relieved also. I really like the idea of the hooking it to the designated hitter, where I would even say 5 innings. If your pitcher doesn't get through the fifth, you lose the DH. Like that's real simple to me. Because I kind of miss the pitchers hitting anyway.
Oh, I disagree with the missing
I
pitchers hitting at least.
Well, I should say I like the strategy involved with a pitcher, in the on deck circle or whatever, and if you should pinch hit for him. Yeah, I miss that stuff a little bit. I used to like the one league had one rule and the other league had another rule.
It's so silly to me. Baseball's so weird. To think of all the great players in the past who just literally never played against each other unless it was in the World Series. That's so weird.
And how many careers were cut short before the designated hitter because guys
right.
couldn't play the field? Like there would be no David Ortiz if not for the designated hitter.
Definitely not. Schwarber would be gone. There's a bunch of guys like that.
Yeah. Guys like Bryce Harper coming back from injury would have to sit out like another 6 months before they could play again. Like Ohtani wouldn't be able to play this year.
Yeah. Well, he could play the outfield. I don't remember how good of an outfielder it was, but I don't think he was ever bad, But I see what you're saying. He's just a freak.
Yeah. So Holiday would start the inning with a single. He'd go to second on a Mullins ground out. He'd come in to score when Urias hits an RBI single. Nice slide by Holiday at the plate to beat this throw. It's 2-1 Boston.
Top of the third, though, the Red Sox got a couple back when Tristan Casas led off with a single, and Rafael Devers took Burns deep, second batter, scoring 2 runs, and it was 4-1.
Yeah, Casas was activated from the 60-day IL prior to the game, and Devers' home run was 400 feet to straightaway center. I actually saw his cousin play for Jacksonville against the Tides like 2 weeks ago. I think his name was Jose Devers. Did I note that? Who cares? Bottom 3, Cooper Criswell. He'd get the first 2 outs in the fourth before Mountcastle hit his second double of the game. Eloy would follow that up with a double. Mountcastle scores. Holiday then hits his first career triple that leaves Wilyer Abreu rolling around on the ground. Jimenez would score. The Orioles are back within 1, down 4-3. This is going to be a long recap. This game was kind of nutty. Yeah, all 3 extra base hits were off Criswell's sweeper. And then Mullins would walk, steal second base. Urias is up. Criswell uncorks a wild pitch that allows Holiday to score his second run of the game, and now it's tied at 4.
Tied at 4 going into the fourth. Jarren Duran led off with a walk and advanced on a wild pitch. Burns would strike out the next 2 batters, so with 2 outs, Rafael Devers was at the plate. Another wild pitch, so Duran's now on third, and Devers walked. Connor Wong followed with a single, and that brought Masataka Yoshida to the plate. He would take Burns deep as well for a 3-run home run, scoring Devers and Wong, and it was now 8-4.
Yeah, that walk that Duran drew, that was his third time reaching base in the first 4 innings. Burns, that home run Yoshida hit was 8 earned runs off Burns in 4 innings. Easily his worst start of the season, if not his career, right?
I don't know about career, but it's certainly the worst of the year.
He's been a little off lately, and I felt like nobody really wanted to talk about it, including me, but there was no hiding from it on this night.
Yeah, his stuff was just not there, in or out of the strike zone, it seemed like.
And before the game, it was announced that Cade Povich would be recalled to start Saturday's game. So that made me wonder if they were going to go to a 6-man rotation for a little while, and if maybe Burns was a little gassed. Remember when they discussed 6-man rotation earlier in the year? They were going to try and do this weird thing where Burns stayed on his 5 days and the other guys were going to have to work around that.
Right. And then 18 different pitchers got hurt, and they couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah, now they can barely plug a 4-man rotation.
Right.
So, yeah, that just made me wonder if maybe Burns is a little gassed. It's mid-August.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, God forbid it's anything worse. In his last 12 innings, he'd allowed 9 earned runs on 14 hits. That's very un-Burns-like.
It certainly is. Can only hope it gets better.
Bottom 5, Jimenez and Holiday start the inning with singles. Mullins walks. All of a sudden, the bases are loaded with no outs for Ramon Urias. Urias hits an RBI single. McCann scores. Holiday for the third time tonight with a sacrifice fly to deep center that looked like it could have been a grand slam. This ends Cooper Criswell's night as the Red Sox bring in Bailey Horn, again clinging to an 8-6 lead. This is Horn's 4th game in 5 days. The left-hander brought in to face Kauser with 2 on and 2 out, and he'd strike out both Kauser and Santander to end the threat. Orioles do not come through in big moments in close games this year at the plate.
I'm sure there's numbers on that we could look up.
Yeah.
But I haven't.
I just know it's bad. Like, it's easy to blame the pitching with the injuries and the bullpen's kind of mediocre. They, you can debate whether they have a closer or not right now, but every game it's the bats falling short.
Right. Well, I guess except this one.
Right. Which was a Burns game, so you figured it would be a Burns versus the bullpen game.
It seems like every game for Burns this year has gone like, not every game, but a decent amount have gone like not how I expected. It's either the O's get a lead early and Burns is on the mound, and I'm like, oh, this will be nice and easy, and it ends up being close, or
yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of weird.
He has no scoreless outings this season, which is crazy, especially when you think Suarez has like 8.
Yeah, Suarez. That is weird. It's very weird.
Top 7, Hyde felt like the Orioles were getting a little too close to the Red Sox, so he brought in Craig Kimbrel. Kimbrel would get the first out, then he'd walk Sogard. Kimbrel watched Sogard steal second, but it doesn't matter because David Hamilton would hit a 2-run homer. 2 batters later, Jaron Duran twists the knife on what's left of Kimbrel's Orioles career with a 420-foot nuke to right center. Red Sox are now up 11-6. And since July 7th, Kimbrel has made 10 appearances, 9 2/3, 11 hits, 13 runs, 11 of them earned, 12 walks, 11 strikeouts, which is hilarious, 4 home runs, a 10.24 ERA, and a 2.38 WHIP.
That's very bad.
I can't defend it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, those are numbers that anybody in Norfolk can come up and replicate. If not, hopefully do better.
Literally, too, which is crazy to say. Like, as someone who understands minor league, especially relief pitchers, not translating to the major leagues, you're right. Literally anybody could come up and do that.
Yeah.
It's bad. So, I don't know. I might have more on Kimbrel later. But the Orioles would get back 3 when Urias homers after a Mullins singles, and Kauser would score on a gunner's fielder's choice. It's 11-9 Boston.
11-9 though became 12-9 in the top of the 8th with Birch Smith in. Got the first 2 batters, but then gave up a double to Connor Wong and a single from Yoshida that scored him. And it was 12-9 Red Sox.
Yeah, that was our final. This wasn't really a fun
technically
game to watch.
it was 12-10 technically, but
I quit taking notes then by that point.
Yeah, there was one more run that didn't matter because they lost.
So, I guess, yeah, as wacky as a game this was, it wasn't fun because the Orioles were behind the whole game. It wasn't a back and forth game. It was every time the Orioles would crawl back, the Red Sox would have an answer for it.
Right.
So, I got some fun notes. On this day in 1981, in a game started by Jim Palmer, Cal Ripken Jr. recorded his first career hit. Adley was a late scratch, lower back discomfort. How concerned were you about that?
I wasn't very concerned, but there wasn't really a good reason for that. I was just like, he's young, doesn't get hurt much, should be okay.
It made me wonder if that's why he's been sitting a little more recently. And could be an answer for his slump.
Maybe why he's not hitting either.
Yeah. So it makes you wonder if maybe they should just bite the bullet and put him on the IL for a stint and get him right for, September.
We'll see.
At this point, like, what's it hurt to put just another guy on the bullpen or on the injured list?
Yeah, right. Just join the party.
22 runs, 31 hits combined, 9 for 30 with runners in scoring position, both teams. Mountcastle with his 5th game of the season with 2 or more doubles. Cowser had 3 at-bats with runners on the corners. 2 of those were with 1 out, and he hit into a double play, struck out, and flew out. So he gets a big piece of the blame pie for this loss, along with Kimbrel and Burns.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can score 10 runs and you still end up losing, it's the pitching's fault, but you always wish that some of those clutch situations ended differently.
I gave out 3 stars. Number 3, Ramon Urias. He had a career high 5 RBI, 3 for 3 with a home run. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The team's lucky to have him. I'm a big Urias defender, and he gets better the more he plays. So when he's coming off the bench and he struggles, it's because he's not playing regularly.
That makes sense to me.
Number 2, some dad held up his kid and he did the sprinkler, which was pretty cool.
The kid did it?
Yeah, the kid did a sprinkler.
Nice.
And number 1 star, Jackson Holliday. He became the youngest Oriole to record 4 hits in a game since Brooks Robinson in 1957.
Wow.
Yeah, ironically, Robinson also had 3 singles and a triple when he did it against the Yankees on September 25th, 1957.
So that's a guy like Brooks Robinson would have never played against Willie Mays. Right? They never played the Giants in the World Series. So, like, besides an All-Star game, they never played each other. That's just goofy.
One of Brooks's 18 All-Star games.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably played enough between the two of them that they, like, knew each other really well, but...
I have a bunch of notes on Kimbrel, but I already bitched about him enough, so... I don't know. Would you say he's a candidate to be cut when Webb or Coulomb, if they're able to come back?
I think he is. I don't know if they would do that, but...
I know, it's such a tough call.
Yeah.
And it's not Hyde's call either.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure he can make the suggestion, but it's tough to cut a vet like that.
Yeah. I think... Well, I don't know. It depends what they think he's able to do the rest of the year, if they think he's going to get any better or not.
Yeah, Selby looked good tonight. I had told somebody that Selby would get less TV time than the Oriole bird this week, so it was good to see him look good tonight. Just his fastball alone is better than Kimbrel's. Yeah, that's it. I guess I just want to apologize to everybody for telling you that Kimbrel would have a good season, because I did that.
Yeah, I thought the same.
So I've officially sold my Kimbrel stocks, and even if he does turn it around, like, I'm not going back on it. I've seen enough.
Yeah, we'll just be waiting for the implosion every time now.
Yeah. Yep. So R.I.P. Craig Kimbrel.
Yep.
I thought I might need to go delete a tweet I sent back out in like May when he was going through his initial struggles, where I said I was prepared to live with the consequences of Kimbrel being the closer. But it's easier to say that in May than it is in mid-August.
Right. It matters a little bit more now. Well, technically it doesn't, but it feels like it at least.
So game 124, Saturday. Brayan Bello versus Cade Povich. This one had a 1 hour and 16-minute rain delay. And we're scoreless until the 6th.
Yeah, I think that was kind of surprising because Bayo has struggled this year and Povich has been even worse. But nothing was going until the top of the sixth when Povich allowed Rafaela to single, got the next batter out, but then allowed a Rob Refsnyder single, and then another one to Tyler O'Neill that scored Rafaela for a 1-0 Boston lead.
Yeah, O'Neill was activated before the games from the injured list. So the Red Sox are getting some of their guys back at this series with Casas and O'Neill.
It's not good. They're a solid team.
Yeah, they're pesky. They're very pesky. They're better than their their names on the paper, I think. They kind of did their GM dirty after they told him to gut the team and make it cheap and go with young talent, and then he did, and then they fired him before he could watch them come together.
I hate that the Red Sox suddenly act like they're a small market team. It's very annoying.
I think they'll be good at it though if they can get their ducks in a row. I think they'll be very efficient.
We'll see.
It is kind of fun watching the Yankees spend recklessly on bad players, which I guess compared to the Red Sox who are being cheap, and getting more out of their money than the Yankees are.
Right. I mean, the Yankees are good this year, though. Granted, that's mostly because of Judge, who is homegrown, and Soto, who they traded for, not big free agents.
The Orioles were hitless until the sixth, where Gunnar hit a 2-out first pitch solo home run to tie the game up at 1.
Yeah, that was much needed.
And then Povich would pitch into the 7th. He'd get a strikeout before allowing a single to his final batter. Hyde would summon in Cano. Cano immediately served up a Yoshida double. Rafaela grounds out with runners on second and third, so no double play. And Jarren Duran is able to punch a 2-strike, 2 RBI single past the diving Holiday at second. Boston's up 3-1.
The O's threatened in the 7th. Holiday and Mullins reached. Holiday reached. Mullins struck out. Arias singled, and then Lucas Sims was brought into the game. He walked Cowser, but got Rutschman and Santander to end the inning with bases loaded.
Yeah, Santander in his career with the bases loaded is batting .302, 3 grand slams, 40 RBI. On the season, he's 1 for 7 with a grand slam and 7 RBI. He'd go down 0-2. He did hit a towering foul ball, but then he just wound up weakly grounding out to second base, and that was basically it. Bert Smith pitched for the third night in a row in the 8th, and Tyler O'Neill reached on an infield single. Devers worked a full count, and on the 5th fastball in a row from Bert Smith, he gave us our 5-1 final.
Yeah, not a good day for the Orioles bats. Povich was solid. Bullpen wasn't, but they only scored 1 run, so.
Yeah, Povich was incredible. He blew my mind. I had kind of written him off for the season, not as a player, and I do think he will be well down the line. Good. Put him in the rotation in 2025 was kind of my theory, but he was incredible in this game. He shocked me.
Maybe he learned something down in Norfolk. Who knows?
Yeah, he had 2 7-inning starts in a row down there. He earned another start for sure, so it was kind of shitty to see him be demoted after the game, even though it was unsurprising.
Yeah, but I mean, we both know he'll be back up because that's just how the season's going at this point.
Trevor Rogers has 3 options. Do you think they would send Rogers down and put Povich in the rotation? Could they admit that failure of the Trevor Rogers trade already?
I mean, they could admit that failure indirectly and just say that Rogers has a lingering issue that he needs to go get straightened out in Norfolk or something and kind of sugarcoat it that way, but I don't know. I'd rather watch almost anybody over Rogers right now.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with sending Rogers down to Norfolk. And, I mean, he has 3 options. And then, maybe Rogers could be in play next season. But Povich has earned the spot this week. That start was incredible. He unveiled some alter ego. He was calling Slim. Did you see that?
No, but I like it.
He looked like a different player on the mound. He showed no emotion, even when he was doing well. He was just walking off. He was like stomping off the mound like he was angry or something. It was fantastic.
Whatever works.
Yeah, it was great to watch. No stars. I do have a note on this day in Orioles history in 1999. Jesse Orosco set the MLB record with his 1,072nd career pitching appearance. That's always fun.
It's a lot of appearances.
Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore.
They certainly don't.
And then O'Hearn made an incredible catch in right field because Santander was a DH in this game. Did you see that catch?
No, I missed that.
Oh, it's the greatest catch he'll ever make.
I would not have guessed O'Hearn if you told me somebody made a great catch.
So this brought us to Sunday, Cutter Crawford versus Albert Suarez. Another game where nothing happened until, midway through the game, bottom fifth. It's scoreless until Adley would homer in his first game back from his back discomfort.
Yeah, that was good to see. Not only his health, but also his bat maybe heating up a little or just getting back to baseline at least.
Right.
The next scoring came in the bottom of the sixth, again from the Orioles. Arias walked. Cowser was hit by a pitch. Ryan O'Hearn was the third batter. He grounded into a fielder's choice, but Arias would score on an error, and it was 2-0.
Yeah, Rafaela cameraman that throw. So Gunnar then hits a 2-run homer, and the Orioles are up 4-0.
Perez came into the seventh, allowed a leadoff single, then threw a wild pitch, got the final three batters, though. He would stay on until the eighth when he walked Casas to start the inning, then allowed a Devers double, and he was yanked for Yennier Cano.
Yeah, Cano allowed a inherited runner to score, and then new closer Seranthony Dominguez would allow a solo home run in the ninth to give us our 4-2 final. Dominguez got out of a bases loaded jam though in the eighth. So he came out for the 4-out save, Felix style.
He got out of Cano's jam for him.
So yeah, I don't know. They won 4-2. The good news is the Orioles only left 2 on base in the game, but the bad news is that's because they only had 3 hits.
Yeah, and only 1 walk too. As opposed to the Red Sox, 11 hits and 2 walks. Who do you think won that game?
Yeah, Boston was 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position and stranded 11. The Orioles were 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position.
That's why they play the games.
Yeah, so just enjoy the victory and don't look too deep into the box score.
Right.
And the Orioles are now 7-3 against Boston on the season, and with only 3 games remaining, that secures the tiebreaker.
Okay. We'll hope it doesn't matter. Well, I guess if Boston makes it as a wild card.
Yeah, the Yankees could collapse, too.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it, but, I mean, they're not really inspiring anybody lately either, much like the Orioles aren't,
Also, I thought more about what I just said about Boston making it as a wild card, and that doesn't matter. So.
3 stars. Number 3, Seranthony Dominguez converted his 4th save and 4 chances. I think we're going to have a good laugh one day when we realize that, they got a closer for the Austin Hayes.
We might. We'll see. I'm going to wait before I make any judgment on Dominguez. Because he's starting to allow runs here and there. A closer with a 4.5 ERA is not that great. So
it is though when, like, Craig Kimbrel ran out of gas. 250 miles 250 laps into the 500 lap race.
Yeah, I mean, you need somebody. That is true.
Number 2 star Adley for the home run after missing a couple days. And Albert Suarez, another scoreless start, 8th of the year, season high 99 pitches, third straight start without allowing a run, 17 and 2/3 without allowing a run. So he's like, he'll be chasing Hershiser soon for the scoreless inning streak.
Yeah, he was looking rough there for a bit, and then I don't know what happened, but he just became a new pitcher, it seems like.
He's unbelievable. Like, I don't have really words to put in what he's meant to the team this season.
His August ERA at this point is 1.40 in 3 starts, 4 appearances. July was 7.64. So that's quite a difference.
Yeah, and when they needed him to step up too, with Grayson going down, like, this team could have folded in on itself at that point. I know they
Yeah.
lost his 2 starts, but, like, he kept them in it.
No, he's been, can't even describe what he's done this year as far as like where he came from and what was expected versus what he's
Like,
doing
he's
now.
leaped over Dean Kramer even.
Lately, he has for sure.
Like, if the playoffs started today, he'd be the 3rd game playoff starter.
Yeah. Burns, Eflin, Suarez. I think that's fair. Hopefully the
So,
team you're facing doesn't have a lot of good lefties, but
yeah, I can't even think of who I would pick that I'd want the Orioles to face in the playoffs at this point.
how about nobody? Like, what if they're just like, oh, the O's win. We don't have to play the playoffs. That'd be cool. I'd take it. That's how they do it in like soccer leagues. The champion is just whoever's leading at the end of the season. Like for their domestic, like the English Premier League, it's just like whoever's first in the standings at the end is the winner.
Yeah, I think I'd have to say the Mariners. Like, I don't want to see the Astros. Don't want to see the Guardians. Don't
Yeah.
want to see the Yankees.
Yeah. Whichever. Yeah. I
Don't
don't
want to see
know.
the Royals.
I'd almost rather face the Yankees than the Astros or the Guardians.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now, if they
Yeah.
play the Yankees and get swept, I'll look like a dummy, but that's how I'm feeling right now.
Did you do a player of the week? I think we forgot to do this last week.
Yeah, and I kind of forgot to do it this week too. Let's see. Here, you can go and do yours, and I'll scroll through and see if I came up with one.
Yeah, I'm going with Cade Povich. Like I said, I'd written him off just for the season, not as a prospect as a whole. And yeah, he was incredible. They were dying for a starter to step up other than Eflin, especially after Burns shit the bed. And in 2 starts with the Tides, he struck out 11 in 14 innings pitched, walking only 4. Walks have always been his big issue with the Orioles. He walked 5 in his last Orioles start on July 29th against Toronto and only 4 1/3. So in this start, 6 1/3, 2 earned runs, 6 strikeouts, no walks. Cade Povich has a 2.74 ERA in the 4 starts where he walks 3 or less batters, and a 9.15 ERA in the 5 starts where he walked 3 or more batters. So don't walk guys, and Cade Povich
Right.
will be all right.
Moral of the story: don't walk, guys. I think I'm going to give mine to Jackson Holliday. In these 6 games we discussed, he hit .304 and hit his first career triple. I think he's showing a lot more confidence and generally just settling in as a major leaguer at this point, and it's fun to watch.
They're starting to move him around the lineup too, which is interesting. I think he batted as high as 6th the other day. It was at least 7th, but I think it might have even been 6th.
I was doing some reading up on James Wood because he's really fun. And Jackson Holliday is also like kind of sneaky fast. And I don't say that in that like, people don't know he is, but his sprint speeds are up there.
Yeah, he does a lot of things really well. I think that's his like he's not really great at anything, but he's fantastic at everything.
Holiday on the Orioles' sprint speed is second to only Jorge Mateo.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, he's impressive.
He's playing a good second base too. Like,
Yeah, he's made some nice plays. He had who was it? Martinez ripped one at him tonight. Caught it on one hop. Got him out at first. It was like 110 miles an hour.
yeah, I'm glad he's back. I had written him off too for the season, so that's how you know you're going to be all right. If I'm just like, we'll see you next year, buddy. For these young rookies, I try and not put too much pressure on the rookies. Like in my own mind, I know a lot of other people like to do that, and so maybe that's just a way of me like protecting myself from being disappointed by a rookie.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if they make the playoffs, he's in the lineup every game, so we'll see what he does.
And hopefully for the whole game.
Yeah, no goofy pinch hits.
That's wild. So, Dong notice, you pulled within 12. It's now 216 to 204.
Ooh.
I hit 14 last week. You hit 15. 12 of your 15 were by Gunnar, Soto, and Shohei, though. Mine were more spread out up and down the lineup.
Okay. Well, I mean, the big news is that I'm getting my worst player, Spencer Torkelson, back. Called up from the minors.
Torque. And I want to pitch you on something here. I'm down Westberg with the hand injury. You're down Kjerstad with the head injury and probable demotion back to the minor leagues. I say we can drop them and add someone from the Orioles since they're both Orioles. And I have 3 names here: Holiday, Urias, and Cowser as the 3 most likely being worth picked up.
Okay.
Do you think anyone else?
That we don't already have on the roster? Probably not.
I think you'd be all the way down to Austin Slater at that point.
Right. I mean, I could go either way. I don't need to add anybody. It's just, it's still equal,
I'm in.
technically.
I'll even give you first waiver priority since you're down.
Oh, jeez. All right. I'll have to look into it.
If I were you, I'd take Holiday, and then I'll just take Cowser.
Sounds like you're trying to convince me to take the guy you don't actually want.
Well, no, if you want Cowser, you can have. I'd rather have Holiday, actually.
We'll see.
I'm looking at it now. So, yeah, let me know if you do that, and then I'll plug in whoever you don't take.
All right.
And Media Corner, I watched 28 Outs, the story about the Armando Galarraga perfect game. It's only 45 minutes long, which is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on ESPN Plus. I recommend it. 2 thumbs up.
I mean, the story is just the call at the end, or do they go through the whole game? That seems like it would be boring.
So it's about a professor who was teaching his class arbitrary rulings. So, there's non-baseball fans taking this class, and that's a part of it. Then they get the guys you want to hear talk about it. Because when I saw the thing, too, I was like, I don't need to see this. We all know what happened. But they get Jim Leland to talk. They get Jim Joyce to talk. They get Galarraga to talk, and he gets emotional. They get the guy who broke up the no-hitter, Jason Donald, I think his name was, of the Guardians. They even got my friend Sandy Alomar Jr. to talk, who was the first base coach.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, and at 45 minutes, you really can't go wrong.
Right.
Yeah, did you watch anything?
No, one thing I'm going to watch, though, is I saw they released a new season of Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix. I like that show.
Yeah, I actually went to press play on it twice this week and bailed at the last minute.
Yeah, that's a good series. I think I've told you they had a podcast that was an official Unsolved Mysteries podcast. It was independent from the show, though. It wasn't the same stories. And it just ended. I was listening to them all, and then one day it was thank you for listening to Unsolved Mysteries. This is the final episode. It's what the hell?
No, you can sell more ads. I'm
right.
still here.
Feed me.
Yeah, I might try. I turned off my Netflix renewal thing, so I think I have it for another 2 weeks. So I gotta watch some Unsolved Mysteries before they go away.
There you go.
Maybe they'll make one about why Brandon Hyde pinch hit for Jackson Holliday with the bases loaded in Toronto.
That might not make it past the cutting room floor, but
we could make our own Bird Notice Unsolved. We got to come up with some off-season ideas.
Unsolved Mysteries.
Unsolved Birdland Mysteries.
There might be a couple.
What would the Orioles do if we reached out to them and was like, "Hey, we're making a unsolved mystery about why Brandon Hyde pinch hit for"? Do you think they'd hang up on us?
I mean, we probably wouldn't even be able to get anyone on the phone.
No, that's true. Yeah,
just doing that would be a victory.
They'd probably put Trevor Rogers on the phone because they got to find something for him to do to justify his salary.
Right.
But yeah, let's do a quick tour as we get out of here. We're actually not too bad on time for the first time in like a year.
All right.
So this one is MLB pitching leaders of the 2010s. Can you name the MLB players who led each of the following statistical categories in the 2010s? 12 questions, 5 minutes.
I feel like it's going to be Verlander, Scherzer, and Kershaw for like all of them.
5 minutes for 12 questions. Like, what's the catch? We should be easily able to get through this, I would think.
Yeah, if not correctly, at least get through it.
Right, yeah. That's the main goal, just to get through it. All right, press play. We're on the clock. Game started, 321. John Lester, Verlander, Cole Hamels, or Scherzer?
I do know Verlander missed a year. Tommy John. Scherzer, I don't think did in that era, did he?
No, I don't think he did either.
And I don't think Cole Hamels, did he pitch till the end of that decade?
Right, I don't think Lester did either, come to think of it.
My guess would be Scherzer.
All right. But it's Verlander.
Damn. After all that, maybe we won't get through this. We just bullshitted a lot and still got it wrong.
Yeah. 161 wins. Scherzer, Kershaw, Verlander, Greinke. So you were right about the usual suspects on this.
Right.
I don't know. Greinke, he was on some bad teams.
I think Greinke's the healthiest of them, but yeah. Not the best teams. I would say Verlander for that too. He made the most starts. Might make sense that he won the most.
That was my instinct right before you said it. It's Scherzer.
Of course.
109 losses. Ian Kennedy, Jeff Samardzija, Rick Porcello, or James Shields? I think this is Shields.
I'm just thinking of the teams he was on. He was on the Rays. He was on the White Sox, the Padres.
He was a guy teams left out to dry, too, a lot. Like, he was an innings eater.
All right, let's go for it.
It's Rick Porcello.
Porcello. Didn't he win the Cy Young one year?
He did,
that was kind of
with the Red Sox,
weird
I think.
Thing. We'll look back on that in 20 years and be like, who the hell was that guy?
Win-loss percentage, 719. Rich Hill, Greinke, Kershaw, Scherzer.
Ooh.
I think this is Kershaw.
I would say Kershaw, yeah.
Yep. All right, we got one. ERA 2.31. Chris Sale, Cliff Lee, Clayton Kershaw, DeGrom. I think this is DeGrom.
It could be, because he had great numbers whenever he actually played.
Yeah. I'm going to hit DeGrom. It's Kershaw.
What?
Complete games, 25. Verlander, Wainwright, Kershaw, Felix Hernandez.
Wainwright's probably in there for a reason.
Yeah, he does seem like the outlier here.
And he doesn't. He didn't throw that hard. He might have lasted longer in games.
All right, you want to say Wainwright? My instinct was Verlander, but he's already been used a couple of times.
Yeah, let's go with Wainwright.
It's Kershaw.
Okay, well, at least we didn't discuss him. It's not like, we almost got it.
Shutouts, 15. Kershaw, Wainwright, Cueto, Cliff Lee.
Okay, so we just established that Kershaw threw the most complete games. So he's also very good. I feel like it would make sense, again, that he would have the most.
This is starting to feel like a Trojan horse. Like they want people to realize how good Kershaw is. So right. We'll say Kershaw. Yep, it's Kershaw.
All right.
2,452 strikeouts. Chris Sale, Kershaw, Scherzer, Verlander. I gotta say, this is probably my least favorite quiz we've taken.
No, it's just I don't know. There's too many options that all sound legit, so it's just I feel like we're flipping a coin on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Verlander or Scherzer for that.
All right. I don't think we said Scherzer yet or gotten an answer, so I'll say Scherzer.
All
Yep,
right.
Scherzer. 715 walks. Old friend Ubaldo Jimenez, Francisco Liriano, Gio Gonzalez, or Lester.
Ooh. I feel like Lester and Gonzalez they were pretty like control pitchers, I thought. Liriano, I don't think he pitched enough. Man,
Yeah.
have I ever told you about watching him in Rochester? He was so good.
I went out of my way to go to a Tides game. He was pitching for Rochester, and I got a foul ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I went again the next day and actually got him to sign it.
Oh, nice.
I just stumbled into it. I didn't even try to.
He was awesome. So good in the minors.
My guess is Jimenez.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
Oh, I don't know who it was. And I pressed a button and I made things bad. Saves 346, Fernando, Rodney, Jansen, Chapman, Kimbrel. We're almost out of time. This is Kimbrel. Or Jansen.
It's probably him or Jansen.
I hit Kimbrel. It's Kimbrel.
All right.
15 seconds, 2,142 innings pitched. Kershaw, Verlander, Greinke, Scherzer. Want to say Greinke?
Yeah.
It's Verlander. Last one, 702 games. Rodney, Romo, Jansen, Clippard. Yeah. Wow, I wouldn't have guessed that. 5 of 12. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, because I think we started out like 0 for 5, basically.
We did get through it. We said we would, and it got tight.
It did get tight. Yeah, I don't like that one. There's a bunch of those like that, so we'll probably do more like those.
Yeah. No, that one was hard. But the reason I thought of it early on was because recently I've seen circulating on Twitter people comparing the stats of Verlander, Kershaw, Scherzer, and Greinke, and they are pretty close in when you look at all the different categories. Basically, Greinke was really underrated.
Yeah. Did he want to pitch this year?
I mean, knowing him, probably not. Isn't he known as being a pretty free-spirited kind of a weirdo, does his own thing?
Yeah, I thought he wanted to pitch and couldn't get a job. Because he's been pretty bad the last couple of years. But basically he was doing like a farewell tour with the Royals.
If he's been staying in shape, I know a team that has 1 million injured pitchers. That would be kind of fun to watch Zach Greinke.
That would be fun to watch. I'd rather watch Greinke over Kimbrel at this point.
And Trevor Rogers.
Yeah. Who's the bigger problem, do you think, Rogers or Kimbrel?
That's a good question.
I'd say Kimbrel.
I mean, you don't want 1/5 of your rotation to suck, but at the same time, Kimbrel ends up coming into close games and losing them. So,
yeah, Rogers can at least get you through like 3 1/3 innings. Kimbrel can't even get you through 1 at this point.
Yeah. While we were talking, I was wondering what Cole Irvin's been doing down in Norfolk. Do you know?
Oh, no. I'm hoping to go to a couple games this week.
Because, I mean, if Rogers stinks, how much worse could Irvin be?
Yeah, at this point, thank God Irvin cleared waivers.
Right. Let's see. I'm trying to find his game log on here.
Because he probably shouldn't have. Somebody should have claimed him just to eat innings, even. Like the White Sox. You can't use Cole Irvin to try and get through this dreadful season.
Right. All right. So his last. No, those are major league games.
Yeah, looking up minor league stats sucks sometimes.
Yeah. Well, all I can find so far is that so far in the minors, he's 0-1 with a 4.05 ERA, 2 starts, 6 2/3, 5 Ks, a 1.65 WHIP. So it's not doing well.
No, I saw one of his starts, but yeah. Who's on the docket this week? I know we got the Mets.
This week, the O's go to New York for a quick 3-game set with the Mets. Then they go back home to host one of our least favorite opponents, the Houston Astros. That'll be tough.
Yeah, I don't like that. especially if Trevor Rogers has to pitch against the Astros.
Yeah. Even though Alvarez is a lefty, I can see him hitting one like 500 feet off.
Hit one over the warehouse.
Right.
He broke a scoreboard in Tampa. Did you see that?
I saw that. That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They should just never fix that thing. Just be like, Tampa, this place sucks. You need to get rid of it anyways.
Just put yellow caution tape over it.
Right.
But yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week.
Go O's.